Why did Jesus do this miracle? Why did he do it this way? Why was this the first one? How does this reveal his glory? If you ask that question, there's so much in it. You have the whole 9 yards here. Who he came to be, what he came to do, what he has to offer, how we can receive it. It's all here. Look, first of all, this passage shows us who he was. Well, who was he? Take a look here at verse 8 and 9. There's a very interesting term here that you don't find anywhere else in the New Testament. It says after he told them, draw some of it out, here in verse 8, and he says, now, take it to the master of the banquet. And we're told they did so. And in verse 9 it says, the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine, and so on. Now, what's the master of the banquet? This is a term. It's one word in Greek, and it's translated this way. Essentially, this is close to what we might call a master of ceremonies. It's close to what we would call the toastmaster. It was the person to preside. But this is, in a sense, this is a hired life of the party. You know, if you're having a really good party, and it's a big party, you want someone to preside. And a presider has to be someone who's very hail, fellow, well-met kind of person, you know. The master of ceremonies is someone who says, now let's do this, and let's do this, and here we go. And, you know, you have to be the person who gets things stirred up and makes it a great party. Now, this party is about to fall absolutely flat. And Jesus saves this guy's hide. And because he provides what is necessary for the party, he reveals himself to be the true master of the banquet, the real Lord of the feast. Now, let's ask the question point blank. Why would Jesus Christ, in his first miracle, his calling card as it were, why would he do this? To show the world who he was and to show us who he was, to create 150 gallons or so of the most delicious, headiest wine in order to make a dying party into an incredible party, lifting it to new heights. Why is that his very first miracle? Because what he's saying is, I come as Lord of the feast. He says, yes, I come to do self-denial, I come to suffer, and I come to be humbled, and if you follow me, you will too. There'll be plenty of self-denial and suffering and humbling too. But these are just means to an end. Here's the end. As master of the banquet, as Lord of the feast, I'm come. Jesus, in a sense, says this in this parable, in this miracle, which is a parable. He says, you know all those old stories, all those old Dionysian tales that you find in all the old ancient traditions of days in which the forest would run with wine and there would be feasting and dancing and revelry? He says, kid stuff compared to what I have come to do. He says, haven't you read what the prophets said about my day? Isaiah 25, in that day the Lord of hosts will make for his people a feast of the finest meats and wine well refined. And on this mountain he will swallow up death forever, and the Lord God will wipe away tears from all faces, and your reproach and shame will be taken away forever. For the Lord God has spoken. Jesus says, of all the things I could tell you, of all the things I could show you, are many, many, many things, but this is the first, this is the primary, this is the thing I've come to do. I've come to bring festival joy. He throws down the gauntlet to you. He says, I am Lord of the feast. That's who I am. This is my calling card. 150 gallons. The choice wine. The best wine. That's the first thing we see. He shows us who he is.